Whoa, okay, so we actually need to talk about a very specific hero, the Lich.
Yeah. The hero's
not very good in the current meta.
Okay. It's okay because it makes it so that you can't aggro tri-lane against the Phantom Lancer, which is something they could have done with the Gyrocopter and a CM.
Okay. I could see that. I understand.
And it's one of the heroes that, like, it can really stall out a game for longer than you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
And the Frost Armor is actually quite good against all of Power Rangers heroes. But in my opinion, it just doesn't scale into the late game very well. It's not one of those heroes that at 60 minutes he's going to do anything. Because the hero, you know, the skill set just doesn't allow you to outplay. And getting farm on the hero also doesn't really change much. I know some like 3K guy in Twitch chat's going to be like, that's not true in my games. I chain frost with Aghanim's Refresher and it does 1 billion in it. But that's not how the real world works, man.
Literally infinite damage potential, Blitz. Come on.
But, and the other thing, I guess the main thing is just that the hero's boring to play. And that's part of it too, is like, you're sitting there and you've eaten your 80th creep of the game and you're thinking to yourself, why am I playing competitive Dota? Like, what compelled me for this? Like, that's the most godlike hero I can think of.
You know, it really is.
He's just gonna sit there and eat creeps. This is his new tree.
Instead of living armor, it's deny creeps.
Yeah, I just gotta ask godlike, like, what do you do? Like, I would just surf Reddit and chill. Like, wait by my mid tower, eat a creep.
I mean, he is usually the in-game captain, right?
Oh, I'm just messing.
So
his job has to be really active, but it's just...
So it's probably helpful to have a hero that's so, like, relaxingly simplistic, so he can focus on every other part of the game. And
I just hate Flesh. Like, playing that hero is so... It's so boring. I can't stress that enough, guys. Just, especially in competitive Dota, where things are happening and you're getting to see your Leshrac cast 1 billion spells. Like, he's the goddamn avatar, and you're sitting there, like... Deny creep.
You know though, Blitz, Lich is my most successful hero.
Is it? That's not surprising.
It's like I'm like 25-5 or something with it. Like, it's an absurdly high win rate, but I never play him because he is incredibly boring. Deny creep, ice armor. Deny creep, ice armor. And then you get that one fight where you throw out a chain frost, and
that's what you're shooting for. Yeah, honestly.
That's the only bit of action you get as a Lich.
The hero's so boring if you're behind. That's the thing, is that heroes like that, heroes like Lich, they're just not very good if they get behind. If you're okay going into the late game, you're probably in an alright situation, but...
And the funny thing is, in a high-level game, it's not even like that one chain frost is all that successful compared to the potential power of the spell. Like, a successful chain frost in a high-level game, I would say, would be like 3 bounces.
Yeah.
Like, you got 3 bounces and you're like stoked. You're like, oh my god, I did it. That's the one play that you have. If you ever get a maxed down chain frost, like, you must have had some amazing AoE control. Like, somebody won the fight with a 5-man black hole or something.
Alright, so let's see what happens. He actually went to the offlane, which I think is a pretty good idea. It's only a solo clockwork. The clock's pretty much gonna get levels no matter what. I think we discussed, or you discussed it the other day, right?
Yep.
Especially when you're on the dire side.
Dire side clockwork, insanely strong. You have so many different, especially if you play clockwork correctly, where you use like rockets to be able to block out the spawn and stuff like that. He's probably the, I would say he's probably the easiest hero to get levels in offlane, except for like deny heroes, such as Lich and Enigma.
Yeah. By the way, earlier I was not hating on Godlike. It's just Lich. Like, I hate playing against it too, because notice at top, what he's doing is he's just making it hard for Jack to farm.
Yeah.
Like, it just, as a carry, it's going to be one of those things that annoys you. And I like this, because what they're doing, we talked about it before, right? What the Gyrocopter needs is, like, absolute farm. The scene has to stack for him. They just got to power him as much as they possibly can. Like, he alone can really win this game,
right?
For Power Rangers. And so what they're doing is they're putting the Lich up here to disrupt that as much as they possibly can. Like, if you're denying a creep every 30 seconds, that's pretty significant. It slows down the Gyrocopter's farm by quite a bit.
And just think how impossible killing a Spirit Breaker is. Once he's got that ice armor on him, like, he's already the highest EHB hero in the game, and then he gets an extra 3 armor and that attack speed's slow as well. he just becomes impossible to deal with. And what I like about this as well is that there's potential for Cedo to rotate out when he sees an opportunity on a Spirit Breaker and leave Lich this lane, and they can potentially have Lich pick up a pretty decent mech timing. And that's the thing, right? Is right now they have no cores that usually go for mech. Spirit Breaker is not one of those heroes. He just doesn't have enough of a mana pool for it.
I think it's okay if they decide not to go for the mech early, because I don't think anybody from Power Rangers is either. And probably more importantly than that, they don't want to get into these mid-game engagements. And team fights for them are pretty set. Like, if I had to look at both teams, it's pretty easy for a new team to win a fight, especially if Yoku gets a good amount of farm in the mid lane, which he should be. Like, it's a Leshrac against a Wind Ranger, and I think Lesh wins this lane. I don't play the hero, but I am pretty sure that Lesh should win this lane.
CS-wise, 15-5 compared to 15-4, so Dichira is doing quite well considering the obvious matchup disparity. Do you? I kind of like this. The extra level in Wind Run. Is this just really pressure the Leshrac at times when he can with the extra bit of time from Wind Run?
Yeah, it's so you can trade hits effectively, but it still doesn't do too much because Lightning just trades better than you ever will.
Right.
But this first rune is going to matter a lot, I think. And it looks like Dichira is just kind of spamming the lane out, trying to get aggressive, and Yoku's actually just chasing around here, but he's got to be careful.
Yeah, Big No comes in from the jungle.
He doesn't have mana either.
They do have a power shot to finish off Yoku, and that will secure first blood for Dichira. The charge is coming in from Cedoid, but never mind. Now an ensnare has caught him, and they will be able to snag the bounty rune away from him. Wind Ranger, unfortunately, without that extra bit of regeneration as bottom lane was taken as well.
So Dichira was trying to do there was he power shots and the creep wave. I just call it an empty creep wave because it has like full and you're not getting any CS out of it, but you're just trying to weaken them up for your second power shot, and then you immediately just go to check your the rune. But what the Leshrac did actually, if the Crystal Maiden isn't there, it's almost a kill, or you guarantee yourself a rune, because the Wind Ranger won't contest you at that point.
Right.
But Yoku had to know, because especially since he's trying to contest to the top rune, that somebody's going to be there waiting for him. Support will almost always sit up there just to help out. Like, you notice that No Fear at bottom immediately took the DD rune at bot once his Lesh died. Like, you have to anticipate the support rotating over.
Yeah, that's the kind of awkward thing as a mid, right? When you go, the creep wave always meets at sort of around the same time that the rune spawned. So you have this awkward, if you leave for the rune, you're going to end up missing CS naturally. So I kind of like that idea of power shotting preemptively in order to really quickly be able to push out the wave.
So if we focus on the rest of the lane, the Phantom Blaster, considering he's had an easier lane, it's just a solo Clockwork, it's actually having quite the rough time, and No Fear at bottom. He's going to get ganked up, and Cheshire Cat should be able to get the last hit on this. Yeah, there's no way that was such a good rotation by Bignum.
Yeah. Great pickoff, catching the Rubik out. Do you think that the Phantom Lancer should have even attempted to like soak up some of that battery assault, or even go as far as Doppelganger over to create the extra, himself and the illusions to tank up that damage, or do you think the Rubik was just guaranteed dead?
I think he was guaranteed dead. He has 3 levels of Rocket Flare. Like, at that point, he was 100% dead. Like, he probably could have used the Rocket Flare a lot earlier to secure the kill, because it's only a Rubik. Like, his HP pool isn't very high, and he doesn't have a wand or anything, so they probably were like, okay, this is a lost cause. It's just a good rotation by Bignum, who's been there twice now. And it's just good moves by him. Like, he came mid to secure the Lesh when he was using the jungle. He goes bottom for kind of an off-the-wall gank, which I think is really good, too.
I didn't actually notice this, but it makes a lot of sense. The Flat Cannon procs the Frost Storm. So every single shot that he does in these team fights, when he doesn't have KB on, it's actually going to slow him down as well as his attack speed.
Oh, that's really neat, actually.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea, especially since that's usually a problem for Gyrocopter, right? Is his attack speed, especially if you don't go for the butterfly route.
Well, they're actually going to try to go on J4 for a little bit, but this is just going to be turned around.
Yeah, they do have the ensnare to be able to hold Go Black there with the extra slow. They easily get the kill. Now Cedoy's in some serious trouble as he does not have his charge up. Health potion and get the charge away, but unfortunately the Rock Barrage just does way too much damage. Mid lane, Dichira is actually trying to sneak a pick-off here onto Yoku. He does not have Focus Fire. He actually opted for the level of Shackle Shot and will be spotted as he tries to wrap his way around the tower.
Yeah, I think he should just give up on this. He's going to check for the stack really quickly to verify that it's there. And he's going to lay down the ward too, which is common. So you can see what he's doing. Just know that if the support is there solo, you can go for a smoke. But it's not going to accomplish too much from here.
Leshrac, SF, like any of those heroes on the Radiant side, you're going to want to try and get some vision of that hard cam stack. Lane, Naga Siren actually goes down. Yoku looks like just got a really great kill. Lightning, stun, lightning again.
Yeah, this is... It's still 4-1 though, and I think that although the overall farm is in favor of new team, Power Rangers is just doing a better job with the lanes overall. Especially the engagement at top when they decided to go on the Naga Siren. I think even if the 17%, you know, if he bashes him 3 times, the Naga probably gets out. So it just kind of felt like an empty attempt where they were just trying to make something happen around the map.
Yeah.
But you have to be a little bit more patient than that, because the lanes aren't really gankable here, but you picked for that, right? Like, their picks are pretty static, so they have to kind of play it like that.
Well, still one. The rocket comes in a bit too late, so the ward not really accomplishing much there. I think they really wanted to be able to steal a lot more of that, either with just a power shot and rocket, or maybe even a full-on gank while he's attempting to do that stack, but... Wind Ranger is now going to show up in this bottom lane, see if he can get a pick off. Obviously, it'd be huge if they could get on FN, but we'll see. Cheshire Cat does have the hook shot ready to go.
Just got to go now.
Yeah, no fear. He's going to be caught out here. They do have the Lich rotating over, and the hook shot's going to miss. They do manage to land at least a shackle shot, but the focus fire, rather the power shot not being put in the right spot. Cheshire Cat uses a simple cog block and bounces out, but a very unsuccessful gank there from the side of Power Rangers.
I think DRO was a little bit greedy there.
Oh, Cedo.
Oh, Cedo is actually stuck. They know about it too.
Yeah, they...
Oh, this is so awkward.
Dichira is not in range, unfortunately.
They know he's there, but they can't really go for it because everybody from new team is here. Yeah, they're just trying to ping him down, but... Alright, he's gonna get out. That's like one of the weirder spots I've seen somebody get stuck.
He really thought about diving in for that one.
But I think DRO was just a little bit greedy there. Like, if he goes for the power shot on the Rubik and one right click, I think it'll kill him.
Yeah.
But I think he assumed that they were able to get both.
Power Rangers still have some stacks to go through though. Looks like they're actually farming it up with Naga Siren instead. I mean, Naga Siren is one of those like 4-position supports who can get some pretty helpful teamfight items. Usually, well, we used to see like ARCADE very early on during like ESL in Frankfurt, but it's really rotated over to either the Medallion or potential with Guardian Greaves as an option later on. So is this why they're giving away the stacks to him instead of the Gyrocopter, and do you agree with that?
I kind of do. I would actually really like to see the early Medallions that could go for the Roche play. One Ranger has an Aghanim, so that's like 17 minutes. If you rotate the Gyrocopter over 2 and he's got a decent amount of farm, which he does, you can probably do it even sooner than that. The thing is that once the laning phase ends, the true laning phase ends, things get really difficult to just kind of smoke and do, because it becomes really obvious. So
they're actually going to go in Yoku here. Cheshire Cat locks him in. The nice power shot over the top and makes it a lot easier. And Clockwork takes very little damage. And that pickoff, and now with a full 5-man mid, they take over this one tower. This is, I feel, a very unique approach, you know, going for a 5-man mid this early on. What is the idea behind that? What's the importance behind taking over this Tier 1 tower, more so than many other games where we don't usually see this amount of aggression so early on?
The main thing is that the Tier 1 tower mid is so important because it controls the entrance to the jungle. And it makes it so it's harder for your team to rotate in. Like, a lot of the rotations that you're going to make to counter-initiate are going to come from that mid-TP. And so it just opens up the map. Like, it allows you to pretty much get in like this through the smoke, whereas before you couldn't. Like, you can actually just make a rotation in like that. So it's fairly significant. It's not a small deal at all. If you can get away with it, because it's incredibly greedy. There's so many different nooks and crannies that you can fight in. So you have to be pretty comfortable taking that engagement, and they are. Their team's a lot stronger right now.
J4 is being charged right now. He does have the ultimate and is going to pop it in response to all this aggression. And now they're going to be set up beautifully for this one. Gyrocopter's going to throw down that ultimate. They're going to try and boss these heroes as quick as possible. The Khans bounces back too. They will be able to finish off a Rubik as the Lich. Now they're getting Goku. They might be able to finish him off, but no, it's actually Gyrocopter who goes down first. J4 turns around, gets the kill before he dies. And that actually turns out to be bad for Power Rangers, as despite the setup, they just did not have the damage. A lot of these heroes were able to survive for just too long.
I think the problem there was the Clockwork got really low, right? He had almost no HP at that phase, and probably more importantly than that is that Ditya wasn't quite ready for that. Like, he was heading over, but he wasn't in a position to fully rotate and help out, because I think he went for the bottom moon, actually. And so for him to be able to rotate up there, it was a little bit too long. And Leshrac with no items is still Leshrac.
Yeah.
He's one of the best at dealing damage in that area when it's just a small choke point. And if you notice the Jackal, he doesn't have something like an Ogre Club or drums or anything like that. He's decided to go for the Helmet the Dominator first.
Yeah.
So he just melted.
Yeah, this is specifically a farming build and not really oriented to you fighting around that 15-minute mark. Otherwise, he would have gone for the drums and probably would have survived a lot longer in that team fight.
I think they would have won the fight, though, even despite all that, if they had Ditya there.
Yeah.
I think if Ditya there, he's enough. Like, if he hits any sort of shackle, the power shot damage would have cleaned up the Leshrac in time to save your Gyrocopter, most likely. But it's hard to... You don't focus on stuff like that when you're playing.
Right.
You just kind of ignore it and say, okay, they took an ideal fight as 5, and we still kind of came out okay. Like, that's the way that you should look at it, and you should say to yourself, this is the next way that we're going to approach this fight.
Seedoy, and now No Fear, who picked up his level 6 in that last engagement. Sitting up in the top lane, still trying to keep pressure on the Gyrocopter. They do have to worry, of course, about the Ancient stacking that's going to come into play eventually. Yep, you can see already grabbing that range creep. I feel like our Gyrocopter is... I guess it's power of the Lich, though, to disrupt so much farm. He's just a bit farther behind than I would have anticipated.
You kind of expect this, though, because it's just... when it comes to levels, he's actually pretty far behind. But it is kind of expected in this regard.
Will be able to intercept just before the charge lands, and now they're going to turn it around with the ultimate. Seedoy is going to be dropped very low here. Meanwhile, the hookshot's actually going to intercept Goldblack at the same time. Seedoy is just barely shy of going down. Ditya still not enough damage, but finally the right click will finish him off. No Fear, trying to get himself away from this one. Shackle shot flashes, not to the Leshrac, just to the trees.
Oh, they know
Leshrac is still healthy, but he's now been ensnared up, and the rest of Power Rangers swarming in underneath that tier 1 tower. J4 does go down, but they got the Leshrac and are still looking for FN.
Looking for the angle.
Nice.
Oh, Spencer creep wave.
Beautiful setup there with the creep wave coming in, and FN will try and get the kill on Big Numb before he goes down, but Power Rangers get pretty much the ideal fight for themselves. Clean up 4 as well as claiming the tier 1 tower in the top lane.
See, there you go. Like, that's the reason why they took the fight, even though they lost the previous one, is that they said that was a fluke. You know, that previous fight was 3-4, even though we had a completely healthy Wind Ranger not participate. Let's find out what happens when we actually have a Wind Ranger in that fight. And they didn't panic, and they thought to themselves, we should still take this fight.
Yeah.
And they just completely dominated it.
And it felt like it was, despite the Gyrocopter ultimate going down, it felt like it was 4 versus 5. You know, the way the Spirit Breaker is already kept out of that fight entirely. Like, even if he did escape, he still would have been completely, you know, no impact whatsoever.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the large issues too is that they don't have the level 6 on Goblin, which I think could make it different for this phase of the game. But as the game goes on, this is going to be probably, yeah, it's a 16-minute level 6, which is way overdue.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you look on the flip side, where Big Numb is playing the Crystal Maiden and how much impact he's had and how many levels he's getting, he's like a full 2.5 levels ahead of the Lich right now, which is something you probably don't anticipate.
Yeah, especially since Lich is supposed to have that mechanic from Sacrifice that gets him cheap experience.
Exactly, but he's gotten only 2 levels of it right now, and they haven't really won fights. And most of the fights that he's in, he's the first one to die, so it's not like he's getting the experience out of any of these engagements either.
Right. It's to 13, 17 minutes in. Of course, new team, led by Goldblack, still have a late game advantage, but they are feeling very much the early to mid game pressure of Power Rangers as their team fight seems a bit too strong. The item is going to be finished up soon on Ra. Meanwhile, our gyrocopter has finished up the much-needed Sage to bolster his lacking HP pool.
Oh, that's pretty cool. J4 actually opted to go for just a gem off the bat. That's what he decided. I really like that decision, actually, because they need to get aggressive really early on. I thought the medallion was going to be the play, but what they're going to go for is kind of the C-deck smoke where they hope to find 1 or 2 heroes and then immediately push the safe lane. And it's going to be no fear they find, which isn't an ideal target, but it's still a free kill, and it allows you to set up the bottom really easily.
Yeah. No fear dishes out a fair amount of damage in return. Cheshire Cat still looking for more opening. Yep, will be able to land it on Go Black. Didn't need to use it earlier. And finds that extra kill. Now, actually, the Courier's going to be caught as well, ensnared by J4. Great play. And we'll shut down that Blade of Alacrity for the next 3 minutes. Now, Power Rangers in a great position to take yet another Tier 1 tower.
There's just so many heroes going down at once. And this is going to mean a Tier 1 and probably Roshan at the same time. Because Ra just completed the Aghanim Scepter. And especially with that, the way the last fight went, they're going to think to themselves, we can just take complete map control. This is why you like the Naga Siren getting the gem first, because you just want to deny vision and make it hard for new team to get control of their jungle.
Just really limiting the farming opportunities that they have, because they do have 2 cores that require a lot, both Leshrac and NT123.
If you actually look at the map, they only have that 1 ward up right now. The rest of their map vision is just completely dark. And if you take a look at Power Rangers,
yeah,
their vision is insane.
Super aggressive vision. Basically, if you ever, well, now one of that word has been countered, but they pretty much had vision of every single lane aggressively to see where new team was going to be at farming, where they were going to be trying to move to gank potentially. Their vision was well set up to basically establish dominance in the next 5 minutes. I know you're playing mid a lot. I'm not sure how much Leshrac that you actually play, but what's the item builds in this kind of game where you have the Bloodstone, but you also are facing a Clockwork who has a very early Blade Mail? Do you just go straight BKB from this point?
You probably do get the BKB, but you also need, there's so many items that Yoku needs. Like if he gets a Yule Scepter, because the Wind Ranger doesn't want to go for the BKB in the next 2 items, like in a Wind Ranger's ideal scenario right now, he goes for a Blink and a Daedalus, and he probably needs the Yule kill or catch, and he needs something like that, because that's what Sunil, I know Sunil likes to do.
J4, he does have some bullets coming in from the side, and is able to deal. Oh no, he actually fades. They're going to lose a gem, but they will claim Yoku's life.
Get the suicide off.
TP away, and Leshrac suicides. They get the gem. Great fight for new team. I mean, obviously losing the Leshrac isn't ideal, but claiming the gem is so big, and as you said, did manage to get the Bloodstone tonight.
Yeah, getting the gem was the bigger deal there than claiming the Naga, for sure. Because they denied all the wards before that point, and now there's going to be a time period where the map, again, is going to be dark for them, but they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable with putting up wards aggressively. So before, they were just kind of guessing, and the reason why they were placing aggressive wards was when you place wards in the enemy jungle, you're just hoping that the enemy team is playing so aggressively on your side of the map that they just never return to their own jungle. That's the principle behind it, which is why they were playing in that top side of the map.
Cena was having a good time here. Sitting on the cliff for probably the last 30 to 40 seconds. Just waiting for an opportunity to charge somebody, but he didn't see anything. Most of Power Rangers are sitting back, safely farming. Probably given the fact that they just lost that gem, not really feeling comfortable with being aggressive at this point.
It's just, right now, new team has to be a little bit passive. Like, you've got a Spirit Breaker who was meant to make space for you while your Phantom Monster gets big with your Leshrac, but they just were never really able to get that momentum going because their supports aren't able to pick up anything. Like, the ganks at bottom, when they kept finding the Rubik, you probably think like, okay, it's only a Rubik, it's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, if they gank the Phantom Lancer will always have time to farm. But it's an under-farmed, under-leveled support Rubik that's supposed to be playing the 4 position that has nothing right now. And so Goblock and No Fear can't really contribute anything to these fights right now because they just don't really have the artillery to go with it.
So it sounds like you're still very positive about where Power Rangers are in this game. And I'm really concerned though about the Phantom Lancer. He just picked up the Diffusal Blade. For me, that's always one of the warning signs once I see Diffusal on the PL, I feel this pressure to end the game within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe not end the game, but at least take a lane of racks. Do you feel the same kind of pressure here, or do you think that Power Rangers just stays ahead in farm enough, they'll still be fine 10, 15 minutes from now?
I do, I don't. I think when you're playing against, for example, whenever you play against a Radiance carrier, it feels like there's a time limit, right?
Sure.
But what teams do that I feel like is a mistake is when they overthink it and say, okay, we have to do something because of that item.
And you end up pushing too early, and a bad team fight, especially going high ground, will then speed up the game for the enemy team, right?
Exactly. Like, you have opportunities. Once the Phantom Lancer has some amount of farm, you still have opportunities to win the game as long as you don't panic. If you take 2 fights in a row, then the Phantom Lancer's farm gets slowed down by a lot, and you're suddenly in a really good position. But they should try to take some objectives. I would like to see them go for the Roshan.
Yeah.
They've got the Aghanim Scepter on the Wind Ranger. You've got a medallion on the Naga. You should go for the Roshan, and then just try to clear out some tier 2s and retake control of the pace of this game. Because the slowed down pace really does help the Phantom Lancer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially with the very efficient builds that Phantom Lancers usually go for with the boost of travel. You're just able to move around the map and split push to your heart's content. We now have an Aegis on Jackal. He will have a BKB in about a minute. So if they let him farm up some of these waves, he'll have the BKB before they push into the tier 2 tower. But then again, Newts are probably unlikely to try and contest an Aegis at this time, right? You're just willing to give up tier 2s in exchange for more farming time.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're farming out more sides of the map, and you're just using it as a resource or life. So you're saying, okay, we have 3 lives to work with. We've got those 3 outer towers that they still have to take before they probably want to engage on the high ground. So we'll just use that to allow our Phantom Lancer to get a little bit stronger.
Alright, tier 2 tower going to be going down in a short amount of time. Phantom Lancer is actually not trying to pressure the top lane, perhaps fear of a gank, as many of the heroes on PR are actually outside of vision. I suppose, really, there's only one hero that can catch him out, and that's the Naga Siren, right? They only need Naga Siren to make the rotation, pop the ultimate, and then the rest TP. They can actually kill PL rather easily when he's trying to split push.
They've got a ton of ways to deal damage on top of that. Their AoE isn't the best, but if the Wind Ranger manages to catch up to the Phantom Lancer and find the real one, then it's pretty easy. And once they verify that this top lane doesn't feature the Phantom Lancer, I think they'll feel a lot more comfortable pushing this bottom tower down. Because you just don't want to trade towers right now. That's the worst thing that you could be doing when you have this type of lead.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Another tier 2, quick to fall.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Power Rangers probably don't want to give up their tier 1 middle, though. FN's really trying to aggressively push that, but sure enough, Naga Siren's the first one back. And New Team are just really claiming any objectives. Normally at this point, obviously farm is the main priority when a team is taking your tier 2s and you're just trying to trade off, but usually they're able to claim some sort of objective. Do you think New Team are playing perhaps a bit too passively in that regard, or do you think it's the right play given J4 to catch them out?
I think it's a mix of both. You just kind of have to weigh how much you're behind. I think if you're behind more than 10-15k, you have to make those aggressive plays to try to get yourself back in the game. As weird as it sounds, the more behind you are, the more risks you have to take. Because you don't really care at that point if you get caught out, because the game's probably done at that phase anyway, because you'll just get out-farmed. But if it's only what it is right now, which is 7,500, 8k, then you probably don't have to make a ton of risk, because you know that your Phantom Lancer still exists in the game.
Right.
So the point is right now, just don't throw anything.
J4 is about to finish up the Solar Crest, so that'll be a huge buff for the Gyrocopter when he pushes uphill. Item choices, I really like Butterfly up against a Phantom Lancer, just because of the fact that obviously being able to evade a lot of those illusion right-clicks will help you dodge a lot of incoming damage, but there is still the Leshrac to consider, whose magic damage can still overwhelm the Gyrocopter once his BKB is down.
Yeah, I think the Butterfly is completely the right decision here. It helps a lot, and the sick thing about Power Rangers timing too is that you still have a 10-second BKB on your Gyrocopter.
You're gonna catch Yoku. is probably... Oh, never mind. He's got a BKB, so he'll be forced into the 10-second BKB charge. Jackal's still going in. They actually do land the hook shot here. They're going to go in for Yoku even deeper as he BKB runs out and he's forced into the Bloodstone Suicide. So both of those active items taken away. Bloodstone Suicide is down as well as BKB charge. PR have found a big opening now. And will they actually try and press uphill with that advantage?
The crazy thing about the Leshrac 2 is that that's the second time he's ganked, and that's the second time he's gotten the Bloodstone pocket deny off. And so he doesn't lose too much as a result of those ganks, which I think makes Bloodstone actually a little bit strong. He just doesn't get punished for those deaths.
Yeah.
The Bloodstone charges, of course they help. Because of the respawn timer, but really it doesn't matter too much when you're this phase of the game. We're just really far behind. He didn't give up anything when it came to net worth. He's actually not that far behind the Wind Ranger. Claimed most of the towers.
Yeah. Speaking of Wind Ranger, she opted now for Blink Dagger. Went for the Crystal Distilled, pretty natural. Going back for the Blink though. I'm presuming this is just yet another mechanism to be able to shut down the PL.
Yeah, the main thing is that you just don't want to have to rotate his 5 to make a pick off.
Right.
And if he only has the Dillis, probably doesn't have enough of a positional advantage to go for that. So yeah,
Jackal gotta be careful here. Pop the BKB in time. Seedoy responds with the BKB of his own. Nice Shackle shot from Ichiran. Now focusing on Seedoy, who's been snipped up. Unfortunately, though, Ichiran's kind of stuck up against the cogs. He will be able to get himself some distance. That ultimate out from the ledge is not quite enough damage. Another beautiful Shackle shot. Ben comes in, cleans up the Wind Ranger, and now looking for more. Big Nut drops the ultimate, but it is completely pointless at this point. Not able to pick up any kills. Instantly dies. And Cheshire Cat probably lucky to be alive that he didn't get scouted out in this area. So Power Rangers losing a pretty bad fight there because both the Leshrac as well as the PL survive. The Leshrac picks up, recovers almost all the Bloodstone charges that he lost from those 2 suicides, and they're going to be able to claim some tower bounty as well.
When it comes to the Wind Ranger, her positional game matters so much to Power Rangers because the Gyrocopter is your frontliner. When he has items like the SNY and the BKB, he can just outmaneuver. But when it comes to actual damage dealing, a lot of that firepower is going to come from your Wind Ranger. So she can't afford to be in the front lines like that. She got hit by a couple unlucky Chain Frost bounces, which were nowhere near her, and they just kind of happened to arc over to her. But still, it matters so much that if you're playing that close up and you die, you see that coming a mile away, that they're just not going to have enough damage to deal with the rest of the heroes. Like, they need him to kill the Leshrac or the Phantom Lancer. The Gyrocopter just simply isn't enough.
Another ancient stack. Gyrocopter gonna go back and farm that up. He's still ahead of the Phantom Lancer and will start working towards that butterfly. Never mind. Forcing out yet another BKB charge on the Leshrac.
He's going to go for the Shivas next too, which I think is a really smart decision, just because you know that you have to deal with the Wind Ranger constantly. And the Wind Ranger decided to go for, like I said, after the Aghanim Scepter, you don't want to build something like a BKB. You just want to get damage and positional item.
FN, he's going to be caught here, does have a BKB, will try and kill Cheshire Cat as quick as possible before he can look to get out, but it's just not going to be an option. He does get Cheshire Cat, but immediately dies to ditch your Raw. Big pick off there for Power Rangers, hope to be able to reclaim the tempo of this match. Ultimate going out. Jackal knows that the BKB is on cooldown for Yoku, but he's running 2 supports as well. No fear, not really the spell you want to steal. Grabs Flat Cannon in the end.
It's so hard to steal the cooldown. He actually did earlier, but then he got shackled and killed immediately after. Yeah. But being able to steal cooldown helps so much. So it's just his attempt, right? Yeah. One of those, well, if I get it, fantastic. If not, Flat Cannon is the worst thing ever to have as a Rubik, but you can just reload.
It's one of those things that it should kind of be impossible for you to steal unless you almost like preemptively do the spell steal as he is throwing down cooldown, because there should always be an instant Flat Cannon after cooldown, right?
Yeah, there's no animation whatsoever. Same with your Rocket
or
Barrage.
Even Rocket Barrage, right? Like, yeah.
So if you're Power Rangers, you probably wait for the next Roshan, which is up right now.
Yeah, and with double damage on Ditchira, that'll make it really easy.
And then I think you have to start considering high ground. The Phantom Lancer has a pretty obscene amount of farm. He's 6'2", he's got 266 last hits. Somehow, despite not having ancient stacks or he's 3 towers behind. He's still not even that far behind when it comes to net worth. So I think Power Rangers does have to be a little bit worried about this phase of the game. They've got a lot of their core items. Like A4 has the Blink Dagger, which is the instant fight reset. You've got the Aegis as well.
And that Shiva's, if Goku is able to pick it up before Power Rangers go high ground, I mean, that's one of the more difficult things to be able to push into, right? Like, item-wise, Shiva I feel is just incredibly hard to push high ground, because even like a good AoE amount of damage slows you down, potential to be caught, but also just like your tower damage is kind of non-existent. FN, oh, he tried to blink away or TP out, but unfortunately gets caught by the hook shot, and now is going to be locked inside the cogs and cleaned up by that focus fire. Another great pickoff, and the Phantom Lancer and the Gyrocopter were quite even just like 3 minutes ago when it came to net worth, but now Jackal's been able to farm up some stacks, and Phantom Lancer's farm has actually probably dropped a little bit after 2 successful ganks from PR.
The Clockwork has just made so many plays this game. When it came to the off lane, when it comes to those various things around the map, I really love his item build too. Opting to go for the Glimmer Cape instead of straight going for the Aghanim Scepter allows him to scout out, take up a lot of that Leshrack's damage. Like, this is a direct Leshrack counter build.
Oh, absolutely. I love this build. I think the Glimmer Cape actually has a lot of potential on Clockwork. Oh, jump in, Yoku. Even though the Shackle Shot doesn't land, it still gets a lot of focus fire damage there. Speaking of that, Rubik, another unsuccessful steal. Really wanted to be able to grab that Shackle Shot, but still their tier 3 tower is going to, well, I was going to say survive longer, but looks like the Phantom Lancer isn't going to be up in time. If anything, PR might just be able to pressure, say, like that range racks before the Phantom Lancer's up. Never mind, they back up. Playing it safe, they do still have that agent if they want to be able to re-engage, which they may try and make some sort of smoke play. Yeah, they're going to back up the courier, smoke up, and re-engage to see if they can get a fight right outside of new team space. And if they win that one, that'll guarantee probably a lane racks or at least a significant number of buybacks. Speaking of that, how many buybacks do we have on the Radiant side? It looks like just the Phantom Lantern. The Leshrack is only 200 gold shy, and Spirit Breaker is within a good margin, 500 gold away.
Oh, this is so awkward right now because they're outside of their base.
That wasn't the play. One of those awkward situations where you're not looking at your hero as the Clockwork, and you're just looking where you're trying to hookshot. Uh-oh, FN. Don't tell me he's going to be picked off again here. Clockwork. Oh no, it's just the Nagas Iron coming around, so. Unless the Shackle Shot lands, which almost landed there. Now the blink in from Yoku. He's going to turn around on Dichira, who does have that Aegis, pops a BKB, and now the Nagas Iron Sleep will make Yoku completely vulnerable. PR, they just keep on moving forward. With the Leshrack down, they want to be able to catch more. Unfortunately, the Shackle Shot didn't quite land. And Jackal doesn't have the damage by himself. Without any disable top from his allies, can't seem to focus down anybody else.
I would have liked to see at least one player from Power Rangers. Most likely the Crystal Maiden build something like an urn. It would just help sustain these pushes so much, because this is not how Ra wants to waste his Aegis at 300 HP, because it's almost like he doesn't have it at that point.
Sure.
But he's just going to back up, reset. He does have a full BKB still. Like, it's 9 seconds, which is more or less full. It's when it gets that 7-second mark that you get a little bit antsy, which is where FN is at. And when it comes to the Leshrack's BKB, I can't imagine he has very many charges left. Yeah, he's already down to 6. Bloodstone charges down to 4. So he's okay in both regards, I guess, for the next fight, but still not in the ideal scenario. Luckily for him, though, most of his deaths have been through the pocket tonight. So it's not like he's giving up too much net worth or anything like that.
Yeah. J4, is he going to go for that Solar Crest now? I called it earlier, just kind of assuming, because the item's really efficient. He chose to go for the Blink Dagger instead. And yeah, he just picks it up, I think. Yep, there it is. So they've got the Solar Crest to be able to put on the Gyrocopter. I feel like this is one of the... when it comes to Gyrocopter going high ground, when an ally has Solar Crest, it makes it that much easier for the Gyrocopter to be able to be that frontline damager. Who can pick up a good amount of damage now that he's got a Satanic, he's got 2500 HP, 30 armor, and then you include a 25% evasion. as well as an additional 10 armor, or sorry, 30% evasion.
Yeah, it's go time right now. I think I don't think you want to wait out the next Aegis. You know that BKB cooldowns on the enemy team are really low. Your team still has a decent amount of BKB charges. Even Jackal, who went 3rd item BKB, still has 7 charges on him. You've got the Satanic on him too, so you won't immediately be popped. And you've got your BKB with almost full timer on your Wind Ranger. I think now is the time to go. I think waiting for the Aegis just kind of makes the game even more passive and allows new team more opportunities to get spread around the map.
That Phantom Lancer's now got a Scotty. You really got to start worrying about him. Even if the Leshrac has been shut down, no matter how many times they banked up that Phantom Lancer, it's particularly hard to push a kill just because his harassment power, especially with Scotty and the Diffusal, he just pokes away at you every single time. Slowing you down means more Diffusal hits. They're actually going to try and fight this one. They're going to jump up Jackal here, Telekinesis, and here comes the J4 ult, but all BKBs have been popped on the side of New Team.
Oh,
they still catching up Jackal. Are you kidding me? Jackal's still staying alive thanks to that Satanic. Now his Satanic is completely gone, but they just can't seem to focus him down. They didn't have any vision. Jackal is still he's down FN. Perfect healthy is going to start going for Dish Your Cat. We'll finish him off with the illusions. Now Ditch Your Raw, identifying that damage dealer. He's actually going to go for Big Num while the Wind Run is up, but now that it's gone, continue his fight against Ditch Your Raw. Wind Run being down, Ditch Your Raw pops a BKB, but he will still fall in the end. Power Rangers lose 4 in exchange for the 3 on the side of New Team. And Phantom Lancer, the one who really was the big successor of that team fight, picked up a number of kills, the full amount of experience for that fight, and will quickly rotate to the bottom lane to split pushing.
I mean, the Gyrocopter just doesn't do enough damage. The Wind Ranger, it just felt like his impact wasn't really felt in that last fight. And yeah, you got the Naga sleep off, but the Gyrocopter had to deal with having so low HP. Like, that was the wall smoke. We've got one more to work with at this point, and then they're out. But I think that was a better option than just allowing PR to get to your high ground and you spamming out. Like, you want to get aggressive in that type of position where they don't expect it. Like, there's no way that the Gyrocopter thought that everybody was going to collapse on them right there. But it was a good play. Especially since they hit the BKBs all at the same time. All 3 cores don't do that, then I can easily see PR being able to win that fight.
Yoku's down. I can't believe, I don't think I've ever seen a game where it's been as close as it has, and yet you still only have 2 Bloodstone targets. Like, normally that's the sign of the game is very close to being over, but on the contrary, New Team are in probably a better position than they've been in all game.
He's just used that Bloodstone so effectively for the suicide option, so he doesn't really sacrifice when it comes to net worth whatsoever, and they might actually feel really comfortable. Like, at one point it was a 12k net worth lead, but even with being down around 8 to 10k, they really feel really emboldened by that last fight, because they know the Scotty completed almost a full butterfly on FN.
Oh wow.
Like, he's in really good tip-top fighting shape, and everybody from New Team is building incredibly well. You've got a Shiva that's about to finish on the Leshrac, which is going to slow down the attack speed from the enemy team so much. You've got a fully completed AC. Like, they've just got a lot of items to deal with physical damage dealers, which is going to help FN out so much in these fights.
Yeah, essentially all he has to do, right, is survive through the flat cannon. And, like, if he gets disabled, a lot of the AoE damage, once he survives through that, he pops Doppelganger, he's good. Those illusions, they just do not have the kind of AoE damage to deal with even half HP PL, and they don't have any cleave or anything of the sort once that flat cannon is on cooldown. Now, Yoku's been jumped here by Shishir Cap, pops a BKB immediately in response. Glimmer Cape will help out, but Jackal didn't get off his BKB. He's going to be changed on for quite some time. J4 comes in once again with the help. The sleep is actually going to lock down Cedoid. Jackal now pops his BKB and Satanic in return, and focuses now on Yoku. FN, right in the middle of everything, is trying to go on to Jackal, but can't really get anybody. Actually locked him out. He's going for Big Num now in the background, but FN has been locked down by the Insister. Even if he does get the support, he's been hit by the missile and will end up falling. Power Rangers come back after a pretty devastating fight in that top lane and are actually going to find even more, with Go Black being the last one down. Only the Rubik survives on New Team.
This time around, they weren't able to get the BKBs off everybody, and so it was only Sidoi hitting Jackal, who just popped a Satanic and was able to churn everything around from that point on. And they need Sidoi in these fights too.
No buyback. Phantom Lancer decided to go for the complete butterfly.
They just needed him in the fight earlier. Like, he has to be the backbone of their army right now. but he came in pretty late, and he just didn't have enough to work with. Like, his BKB charges ran out really quickly. That missile from the gyrocopter actually made him really complicated from two.
Yeah. And I think this is just straight up game. I think they have enough damage to be able to finish up and get mega crits, or at least come so close that it's damn near impossible for new team to come back. They're actually going to go for all the melee racks first. Rest of new team really needs to make something happen here. It's a 4-man crew. Jump in, Cheshire Cat pushes. Actually not going for the cops. He just wants to get out of there as soon as possible. And I'm very surprised, despite 20 seconds left on the clock, Power Rangers are going to back up.
Yeah, I think they could have at least taken the range set of Rex, but they're probably happy with what they got. And they got both the melee Rex. The Intracts still stand, but they probably just want to go for the Roshan and absolutely secure this game.
I really thought with a focus fire on Wind Ranger, they'd be able to take down these 2 or 3 towers faster and...
Well, they just want to secure the game right now. Yeah. They just want to absolutely make sure.
It's going to be a close one. They do manage to pick up, not by the Aegis now. Digirock grabs it. Cheshire Cat intercepts Nidoing, who pops the BKB, and does get immediately to jump on Digirock, grabs the cheese, and he'll be able to heal himself up. And then, right on top of Digirock, no fear with a beautiful hook shot as well to be able to stun up Jackal for a little bit, who's completely run out of mana. And going for Cheshire Cat, doesn't quite have the damage to finish him off before the TP out. Jackal, though, is going to be caught here towards the end. No Satanic, no BKB. An opening for new team after they were almost completely out of this game. Go into the Roshan pit, get a pick off on 3, and we'll be able to force some buybacks, perhaps. Though as I say that, I realize there's tier 2 towers still up, so they might not even be able to get uphill before many of these heroes are back online.
This game's so back and forth right now. It just feels like whoever takes the better initiations are winning, and probably the biggest thing right there was that Cito just walked in, had 200 HP left, finds the cheese on the ground from the ultimate.
Yep.
Like, he ultis past somebody, walks in the roastery, he's like, oh, there's a cheese. I'll just take this. And they're able to re-engage as a result. That made such a big difference right there in that fight. I think if they were able to get the cheese on pretty much anybody, like if the Clockwork was able to get it, or the, I'm 100% certain the Gyrocopter should just drop the Ring of Aquila.
Ooh, that was close. Digirock almost made a very big play there. He managed to land that focus fire. Oh, no fear! Big play! Pulls out the hook shot and managed to pull back Digirock, but his team cannot follow up the damage, unfortunately, and stop Digirock from blinking away. 25 seconds till Gyrocopter's back up. Man, I can't help but wondering if he had managed to actually get that focus fire on the range creep before FN completed his TP. They would have been able to save this tier 3. Nice Jackal shot. FN going to be taking quite a bit of damage here. Digirock doesn't have the MKB. Doesn't seem to matter, though. J4 comes out big. They still have another second before Gyrocopter is able to start his TP. They're going FN first. BKB activated. Doppelganger jump away. Digirock still looks for that one. Blinks forward. Going for FN as best he can, but FN hits himself in the freeze, and he's good. Back over to the rest of the fight. Jackal turns on that ultimate, trying to go for Yoku, but shot latches right in time. No TP away for the latch track. 2-for-1 exchange. Make it a 3. New team lose their Rubik at the tail end of that fight. Spirit Breaker and Phantom Lancer, the only ones to back up, and are going to have to desperately start split pushing. But it looks like no matter what they do, this will be a full 4 versus 4, potential 4 versus 5 if Naga Siren wanted to buy that.
I think if you lose Mega Creep, if you're a new team, you have pretty much one fight at that point, and if you don't win it, then the game pretty much just ends. The Doi is just kind of running away. I think they might even have to sacrifice this unless...
Going for Jackal. Cheshire Cat managed to get off the hook shot. Kind of stunning up Cedar, making sure he doesn't get off that ultimate. Jackal thought goes down. And they wait some of the damage here from Jackal. Actually going to go on him as soon as possible. If they manage to get some of the bashes, they'll be good. But never mind, BKB's in. And Jackal's staying alive, but finally goes down in the end. Digirock will follow his ally to the grave, but will come back shortly. The Aegis, can he actually get out of this one? Quick blink out, wind run away. Looks like he's good. If anything, FN's just going to have to go for some of these supports on the background, but doesn't even get that. Big Num managed to get himself away. Range racks, yeah, went down in the top lane. Melee creeps pushing in. Too powerful. Overwhelm that building, and they get the melee racks to the bottom lane as well. Just 2 range racks left from Mega Creeps.
They were able to hold that pretty much 2v5 as well. Just a really good fight. FN deals so much damage if he doesn't immediately just get shackle shotted. in the middle of the fight, and the Gyrocopter Satanic just isn't able to keep them alive from the amount of damage that new team have. But I think this is new team's go time. They don't have another fight in them.
Especially if they could force it before the MKBs. Power Rangers are up. Like, MKB would be the next choice for the Gyrocopter, right? But he's dead. He's going to have to buy back. If he gave any space PR, they'd probably be able to farm up that extra 2,000 gold needed to complete MKBs, in which case FN survivability drops significantly.
I think you actually don't buy back. You don't have to glyph or anything like that, but if you anticipate this being one of new team's last attempts, then you can just hold off. Because one set of racks doesn't make a difference in the space of the game, because you're about to pick up megas.
You could potentially lose the whole game if you buy back and die on Gyro.
Yeah, it's only
Jump in, J4. He starts this one perhaps a little bit early. Gyrocopter's still not up for another 2 seconds. Perhaps just trying to see that melee racks. BK being activated, picked up. Oh my god! He just disappears from that. Now Jackal comes in. He's going to be immediately stunned up, and they change them long enough. The BKB turns on that Satanic and starts keeping himself alive. Damage on FN isn't quite enough to overwhelm Jackal. Now they get a Glimmer Cape. He still has the vision. Blows down Jackal. Will be able to get that kill. Completely get destroyed. And oh my god, he's actually going to go down nice and quick too. Gets off the win run and manages to get some distance away, but the melee racks is dead, and they will be able to force a buyback on the Gyrocopter. This makes things very complicated for Power Rangers now, as again, Gyrocopter dies, and he does not have buyback and a particularly long death timer on top of that. That could be the end of the game for PR.
And you've got a buyback on the Phantom Monster at the same time, and almost got one on your left rack. I actually think the left rack just farms buyback, and you go for it again. Like, you can pretty much just win the game at that phase. The Wind Ranger will still have it, but if you isolate Jackal out at any point, the game just ends, because you've got 2 cores that can immediately buy back. You've got a buyback on the Spear Breaker too. Like, they're gonna hit a really sick timing where they know for a fact that the Gyrocopter doesn't have anything up.
MKB over the buyback on Phantom Monster. Now, he needs to just farm up 1,000 gold, so it's not that inconceivable, but this does give it opening anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes, where Power Rangers can either sit back, recover with some farm, or maybe even try and get aggressive, get a pick off. Do you think they should have gone for the push right away and just relying on the buyback on BL, or do you agree with the choice of MKB?
I think the MKB is okay because it helps you deal with the Gyrocopter and the Wind Ranger, but there's some merit to just being a little bit YOLO and saying, okay, let's go for it, because we have 3 buybacks on all of our cores, and they don't have it on probably their primary.
Definitely now, if FN is able to just farm up his buyback and there's no pickoffs or anything from PR, like, then it's completely fine with that. If anything, Cheshire Cat, nice hook shot away. Jumps to his ally.
If he's able to get the money for it, that's going to be so significant.
Oh, man. You still wait on Roshan? I mean, the potential spawn time is in like in a minute.
Yeah, I don't think you have to. This range rax is actually going to fall right now, and it's going to give them a little bit more money to work with.
Yeah.
I think FN's going to see that in a second. Just send 2 illusions up there to kill it, and this gets him even closer to buyback territory. Yeah. He's only 300 away now.
Unless he gets immediately focused down, very likely he's going to pick up a kill, maybe 2, and he'll have that buyback gold.
Yeah, getting this tower would actually make all the difference in the world. If he blasted on this tower, he would have his buyback, and
Shackle Shot doesn't actually land.
Oh, he's doing everything he can.
The missile comes in and will be able to hit, but the illusions, jump in. They're actually going to go for FN now, trying to lock him in. Good force away, and the juke in for Yoku. As he goes on the buyback now, too. In the background, J4 pops his ultimate. Only the BKBs stay alive, but as the BKB runs out on Yoku, PR no longer have a target. J4 is going to start bouncing himself back, but really, new team don't care one bit. They're just going to keep pushing forward. They're going to try and go Digirama with that MKB. Cedar moves forward to try and lock down Digirama, while FN circling around is kind of pulled out with the clock. Digirama is pushed around with the telekinesis and will be able to get that kill. Buyback is ready to go, and they're rapidly approaching that mountain area. This is an incredibly dangerous fight, especially for Yoku, who will immediately go down to the focus fire. Digirama and Jackal. Rest of that new team start backing up. They do the buyback and TPM from the potential Lesh Rack. Cheshire comes in from the side, goes on a Cedoid charge. He's not going to be able to push the Cheshire Cat out. Cedoid should be going down here as well as FN. It's Jackal Shot. PR managed to stand strong against new team. And this will be forcing a lot of buybacks on new team. They know there's a potential Roshan, though it's not actually up for another minute and a half, much to Power Rangers' dismay.
Nobody has buyback up right now. at this phase, and I think new team are maybe they got a little bit over eager with that dive near that fountain area, but they can sense blood right now. They all back. They're saying to themselves, okay, we know for a fact now that nobody on Power Rangers has buyback, and they need to deal with us at this phase.
They could be fighting over a nonsense Roshan. It's not up for another minute. FN immediately checks the pit. And Aegis, it's funny. You normally late in the game, Aegis becomes perhaps a little less value. Oh shit, your cat's dead. Poor guy thought he was going to be able to hide there. But gets spotted out by the invisible Phantom Lancer. Free pick off there, and he's actually down for 70 seconds. His cogs has actually played a very key factor in keeping FN away from these two different ranged DPS heroes. This pickoff will actually mean quite a lot.
Oh, and there's no travels available for DER Raw either. And he's going for the split push, but everybody from new team is just going to filter in. And they're going to realize here in a second that this Wind Ranger just doesn't have food to travel for another 20 seconds. She's actually just going to go for this
Tier 4 towers. One Tier 4 down, second one will fall. Jackal has to defend solo, but Wind Ranger's not going to be able to take out these towers fast enough. They immediately start going for the BKBs, popped on all sides. ER trying to defend desperately. Jackal held in the air. They're just trying to control him as best as possible. J4 actually buys the time. Meanwhile, Wind Ranger focusing on that throne. He does have the focus fire ready to go. J4 delayed up everything for a significant amount of time, but it's only 1,000 HP left. FN going to be the target here. He will be able to finish up the throne in time. It's just not fast enough. Wind Ranger can't complete it, and new team make the comeback. Game number 1 in this best of 3 comes right down to the wire.
Oh, my heart's beating pretty fast. Even if I don't sound like that game, there's no way that it had to be that close for either team. There was like a 15k net worth advantage at one point.